Today's show about luxury bags carefully handcrafted in China. Turns out your quote-unquote made in Italy luxury handbag might have more ties to Chinese factories than to Tuscany. Thanks to viral TikToks from Chinese factory workers, the internet is now in a frenzy.
Price $23,000, but Guangzhou price $600.
Hermès just got exposed. A leaked TikTok from a Chinese factory claims their iconic Birkin bags, the ones priced at $40,000, are secretly made in China. And now, Hermès is shutting things down.
Recognize this style, this bag? Of course you do. For the past more than 30 years, we have been the OEM factory for most of the luxury brands around the world. Gucci, Prada, Coach, Louis Vuitton.
The luxury illusion is crumbling. Behind velvet ropes and French workshops lies a truth Hermès didn't want you to see. Viral footage, insider confessions, and price markups that'll make your jaw drop. This isn't just fashion, it's a cover-up.
At Hermès boutique will cost you 38,000 USD. But what is the real cost out of the factory? Today, I'm going to break it down in front of you, step by step. First thing first, Hermès only use the leathers from the 3 top-level suppliers. One is called Nuti from Italy. The second is Weinheim from Germany, and the third is Haas from France. One piece of Togo leather, the same leather as this one, will cost 450 USD.
The Birkin bag isn't just a handbag, it's a cultural weapon. A $40,000 statement of wealth, exclusivity, and supposed craftsmanship. But what if we told you that beneath the glossy image and made in France stamp lies a dirty secret? One that reeks of mass production, global outsourcing, and smoke and mirror branding? The very idea of owning a Birkin is built on status. But that status, it may be hiding a very inconvenient truth.
And one piece of the leather is only enough to make one Birkin, okay? And next, the thread. And of course, for Hermès Birkin, the thread is also the best top level. It's called Fil à Chinois from France. This is actually the Rolls Royce.
Luxury has always been about perception. When you buy a Hermès Birkin, you're not just buying leather, you're buying heritage, elite access, and the illusion of scarcity. Celebrities flaunt them like badges of honor. Waitlists stretch years. And Hermès leans hard into that mystique, pushing the idea that each bag is delicately handcrafted in France by artisans who've trained for decades. But now, that illusion is under fire. A bombshell leak from a Chinese factory just shattered the fantasy. Viral TikToks show workers assembling nearly identical bags using the same premium materials. Togo leather, French lambskin, stainless. Steel hardware, but at a fraction of the price. Are consumers really paying for craftsmanship, or are they just funding a carefully orchestrated lie? This video will expose the real story behind luxury's biggest icon. Ask yourself, is your made in France bag actually made in China?
In thread. For each bag, the cost is 25 USD. And then the hardware. See, this hardware is called 316 hardware. It's also known as the ocean stainless steel because it can withstand the erosion of seawater. It's the best stainless steel. For one piece of bag, the hardware will cost 150 USD. The edge oil.
When a Hermès bag says made in France, you picture a quiet artisan in a Parisian workshop. But legally, that label doesn't mean what you think. In reality, a product can be mass-produced overseas and still wear the French badge. As long as final assembly happens in France, it's a loophole, and Hermès isn't the only one using it.
This edge oil is imported from Italy. It's called heat sealed edge oil. For each bag, it will cost 50 USD. The interior lining, it used lambskin imported from France. For each bag, the cost will be 100 USD. And also inside, there is a zipper from Riri brand. And the zipper for one bag is 10 USD. And then the cost of human resource. The French artisans is much more expensive than Chinese artisans to finish one bag.
Luxury brands rely on ambiguity. The phrase made in France conjures images of hand-stitched leather, candlelit ateliers, and old-world craftsmanship. But in the world of globalized manufacturing, it's little more than marketing theater. Here's how it works. If a bag is assembled, or even just finished, in France, it can legally wear the label. Never mind if 90% of the labor and materials came from Shenzhen. This loophole, buried in international trade law, allows Hermès and others to maintain their elite image while quietly shifting labor to cheaper markets. It's not technically illegal, but it's definitely deceptive. Consumers assume French quality, French labor, and French ethics. But what they're actually getting is a Frankenstein product. Parts from China, Italy, Germany, slapped together and branded as heritage. It's luxury by assembly line, and no one's talking about it until now.
The human resource cost will be 600 USD. The package, this is not that expensive. It's 10 USD. So now to sum those up, the total cost will be 1,400 USD for one Birkin out of factory.
Then came the bombshell. A factory worker in China posted a TikTok showing Hermès-style bags being assembled with the exact same materials used in real Birkins. Togo leather, French lining, custom hardware. His claim, these aren't knockoffs. They're the same bags, just made offshore.
But why Hermès will charge you 38,000 USD for one bag? That's because more than 90% of the price is paid for its logo. But if you do not care about the logo, you just want the same quality, same material, you can just buy from us. Because for our bags, we use exactly the same material, same leather, same hardware, same edge oil.
The video spread like wildfire. In it, the factory worker walks viewers through racks of half-assembled luxury bags, some identical to Hermès, others to Louis Vuitton and Gucci. But what shocked viewers wasn't just the visual, it was the claims he made. According to him, major luxury brands outsource to Chinese OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, who produce the components, or even full bags, before they're shipped elsewhere for final touches. He lists the materials used: $450 Togo leather hides, $150 stainless steel clasps, $100 lambskin lining, all real, all premium. He even shows how edge oils, zippers, and stitching methods match Hermès specs exactly. Then comes the dagger. He claims these bags are sold back to Hermès, finished in France, and marketed as artisan-made. Comment sections exploded. People weren't just angry, they felt betrayed. The idea that their five-figure fashion trophy might share an origin with mass-produced goods was a red line, and the brand's silence deafening.
The only difference is, one, we don't have the logo, so we don't have to pay so much amount of money just for that logo. And second, our human resource is much cheaper. This is why this bag from our factory only costs you 1,000 USD, but even better quality and craft.
Shenzhen isn't just tech, it's luxury's underground capital. Many of the same factories that produce so-called super fakes also manufacture parts for real designer bags. We're talking identical materials, skilled workers, even shared suppliers. It's not a copy, it's the same supply chain. Hermès knows it. So do Gucci, Prada, and LV.
Brands around the world: Gucci, Prada, Coach, Louis Vuitton, you name it. But for this, I am not proud because we were only making our way.
China is no longer just the land of knockoffs. It's the engine behind luxury's dirty secret. Shenzhen alone is home to dozens of factories producing goods that blur the line between replica and original. These aren't back-alley sweatshops. Many are pristine, high-tech operations with skilled labor and elite materials. One factory might craft a super fake Birkin in the morning and later prep components for Hermès European workshops in the afternoon. How? Because the supply chain overlaps. Leather comes from the same tanneries. Hardware is sourced from identical suppliers. And the workers, trained in techniques taught by brand-certified subcontractors, this isn't speculation. It's been confirmed by former employees, supply chain insiders, and even leaked procurement documents. When the difference between a fake and a real bag is just a shipping label and a country of assembly, what are you really paying for? Not quality. Not exclusivity, just a name stitched onto a shared reality.
Vuitton and Chanel will hate me if I tell you this, revealing the secret behind big brand. Let's go! Hang Long from Singapore, or reeks for their lambskin from France. Tannery Haas, Italian Tannery, Fight. Labri Tecna from Italy. Guess where I found all those secret suppliers? All in APIF.
Confused because Hermès clearly purports that all of their bags are handmade in France and their watches are made in Switzerland.
Let's talk numbers. The materials and labor for a Birkin-style bag, around $400 and $600 max, even with top-tier leather and hardware. But Hermès sells it for $10,000 to $40,000 plus. That's not luxury pricing, that's psychological warfare. They're selling fantasy, not function. Luxury isn't about value, it's about perception. A genuine Birkin costs Hermès maybe $500 to make. That includes materials, labor, packaging, and shipping. But you'll pay $10,000 minimum and often upwards of $40,000. Why? Because Hermès has mastered the markup myth. They've built a ichi marketing machine around scarcity, status, and celebrity endorsement. Waiting lists? They're manufactured. Limited supply? Artificially created. A celebrity posts a Birkin, and suddenly it's the must-have item of the season, even if $10,000 are sitting in global storage. And here's the kicker. Many of those exclusive bags were partially built in the same factories that make super fakes. Yet Hermès charges a 9,000% markup, hiding behind heritage while pocketing billions. This isn't luxury. It's psychological. Manipulation at scale. It's not about cost, it's about control. And for decades, we bought into it, literally.
In their verbiage, there is no room for confusion about where their products are manufactured. There's no room for China. But in the beginning of that video, that nice Chinese man is clearly standing in front of what appear to be Hermès bags, saying,
It's not just rumors anymore. Former Hermès artisans, factory workers, and even customs officials have spoken. Leaked photos, emails, and documents reveal a global operation more complex and more deceptive than anyone imagined. The truth? It's been hiding in plain sight. Whistleblowers are dismantling the luxury illusion. One former Hermès artisan revealed he was flown to China in 2018 to train workers under strict NDAs. Why? Because Hermès needed scalable quality without the public knowing where it came from. Another former Shenzhen factory manager leaked internal orders showing that top-tier materials, identical to official ones, were diverted to build both brand label and replica bags. Customs officials in Hong Kong admitted they routinely waved through shipments labeled as sample leather goods, even when the documentation clearly showed massive bulk orders. The lines between legal, illegal, and gray market are intentionally blurred. Even repair services allegedly accept unofficial bags because they can't tell the difference. The insiders aren't theorizing, they're revealing, and the deeper they dig, the clearer it gets. The luxury empire isn't built on craftsmanship, it's built on concealment.
that these are the bags that we manufacture. I noticed he didn't say Hermès when he called out all the brands like Prada, Louis Vuitton, Coach. But the implication was very clearly there. And if Hermès products, specifically their bags, are made from beginning to end in France,
There's a new hierarchy in counterfeiting. Welcome to the age of the super fake. These aren't cheap knockoffs. They're handcrafted, stitched with real exotic leathers, and often made by the same artisans Hermès uses. Some resellers even claim their fakes are better than the originals. Super fakes have shattered the luxury ecosystem. They're not $50 imitations sold on street corners. They're $2,000 masterpieces sold in velvet boxes with certificates and dust bags. They use real crocodile, genuine gold hardware, and precise craftsmanship, sometimes even surpassing what you'd find in a retail Hermès store. How? Because these fakes are often made by defectors. Artisans trained by luxury houses who now work privately for high-paying clients. One Chinese workshop reportedly uses ex-Hermès employees to fulfill custom Birkin orders. These bags aren't illegal copies, they're parallel creations, crafted with the same care, same materials, but no middleman. Collectors know it, celebrities know it. Some stylists even prefer super fakes, citing better quality control. In a twisted turn, luxury brands now compete with their own shadows. Because when the fake is as good or better than the original, who's the real con?
why would their valuation drop with the news that Chinese manufacturers are spilling the tea? It says right here on their website, the vast majority of our products are manufactured in France. And they talk about sourcing cashmere from Mongolia, blah, blah, blah. But absolutely nothing about China. And those purses that man was standing in front of were identical to Hermès bags, correct? So does that mean Hermès is lying?
The phrase "made in France" evokes more than just a location. It's an emotion, a story, fantasy, one where quiet Parisian ateliers hum with tradition, where old-world artisans meticulously hand-stitch each Birkin with ancestral pride. But that fantasy is just that, a powerful illusion packaged and sold to justify obscene markups. Because behind the marketing smoke, the truth is far less romantic and far more global. Luxury fashion, especially Hermès, thrives not just on quality, but on the perception of exclusivity. And perception is everything. When you walk into a Hermès store, the ambiance, the scarcity, even the attitude of the staff are designed to reinforce that myth. You're not just buying a bag. You're buying into a carefully curated identity, and Hermès leans into it hard. Their branding paints a picture of noble craftsmanship rooted in French heritage, down to the smallest detail. But look closer. Many of the French-made bags were likely stitched, at least in part, elsewhere. Shenzhen, for example, has become the invisible arm of the luxury world. From cutting to stitching to hardware polishing, subcontracted Chinese factories, many operating legally, have streamlined parts of the production process that used to happen in France. And the loopholes are perfectly legal, as long as the final substantial transformation of the product occurs in France. It earns that coveted Made in France label. In practice, that could mean assembling pre-stitched panels made in China, attaching a strap, and adding a stamp in a French. Workshop, voila, it's French. Even Hermès doesn't deny outsourcing some labor, but they never clarify how much or how often. Why? Because admitting it would shatter the illusion. Worse, it might reveal that the $25,000 Birkin you bought isn't so different from the 500 you super fake, made with the same leather, same thread, same hands, but without the fantasy. The luxury world is a stage. Every lighting cue, every costume, every scripted moment is engineered to convince you of one thing, that the brand is sacred, that French soil somehow blesses the leather. But the truth is far more capitalistic. The real value of a Birkin isn't in how it's made, it's in how well they've convinced you to believe the myth.
Work with the manufacturers identified in the online videos, and we urge consumers to be aware of potentially counterfeit products and misinformation. Authentic Lululemon products are only available for purchase at our Lululemon store.
The luxury industry doesn't just exploit craftsmanship, it exploits the law. Made in France is legally ambiguous, allowing brands to outsource up to 90% of production abroad while still stamping a bag as French. It's not illegal, it's marketing. Ethical concerns, meanwhile, are dismissed as necessary efficiencies. Labor standards, overlooked. Material sourcing, often obscured by shell companies. The fashion elite use legal camouflage to maintain their aura. Regulators rarely intervene, and consumers rarely question. Because if you knew the truth, would you still feel the same about that $30,000 bag? The game isn't about honesty, it's about plausible deniability. And in luxury, perception always trumps reality.
The company has long maintained its products are made only in Europe and the United States, as it currently states on its website.
Tariffs against China add up to 145%. That is on top of, that is including the existing 20% tariffs that were already imposed on the country.
In the end, the luxury bag industry isn't about craftsmanship. It's about control. Control over narrative, over identity, over you. Hermès doesn't just sell handbags, it sells a dream wrapped in orange ribbon. And the irony, even the fakes are in on it. The line between real and replica has become so blurred that some fakes become collectibles. Meanwhile, real bags built on deceit continue to skyrocket in value. So, who's the real fool? The buyer flaunting a genuine Birkin made in part by subcontractors in China? Or the one flaunting a super fake crafted by ex-Hermès artisans with the same materials? The truth is, the entire game is a performance. And you're the audience? The question is, now that you've seen behind the curtain, do you still want a seat?